Bill Parcells spent nearly 20 years as an NFL head coach. Along the way, he won 2 Super Bowls, was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and acquired an excellent nickname. Shout out Big Tuna. Still, what sticks with me the most when I think about Parcells is a phrase he gets credit for coining. Quote, "The best ability is availability. It is pure, simple, and true. You can be the world's absolute best athlete. If injuries or something else is constantly keeping you off the floor, you are no more lethal to your opponent than his grandmother." And anyone in the NBA can vouch for that saying this year. Well, it's the Miami Heat, one of the teams most hard hit by COVID. The Heat have lost 156 man games due to injury and illness this season. That is the 3rd most in the league. Jimmy Butler alone missed 10 games due to the NBA's health and safety protocols. By last month, the whole situation had become dire enough that the reigning Eastern Conference champions had tumbled all the way to 13th in the standings, which wouldn't even qualify them for a play-in game, much less the regular postseason. But slowly, as the teams got more players back, got into more of a rhythm, got a little more rest, a little more distance from their grueling run in the bubble, things started to change. The Heat won another game, then another game, then another game. By the time they got to last night's matchup with Cleveland, they were on a full-on roll, bulldozing the Cavs so brutally right out of the gate that J.B. Bickerstaff had to call a timeout less than a minute into the game. Bam Adebayo, who'd missed the last 4 with a knee tendonitis issue, was back dunking again. Duncan Robinson was shooting threes all over the place. And Butler, well, you know how he does things. Check out the crafty steal here. Oh, I'm just going to take that. Thank you. And then, of course, the easy bucket. The Heat would finish the night with a double-digit win. They have now won 11 of their last 12, a stretch that includes victories over both the defending champion Lakers and the league-leading Jazz. And they've done it with high energy, with a defense that ranks 2nd in the NBA over that same period. Now, the 5-man unit of Bam, Robinson, Butler, Tyler Hero, and Kelly Olynyk is outscoring opponents 18 points per 100 possessions, which is crazy. And worth noting, that unit has only been used in 12 games due to all these injuries. That's 30% of Miami's season. That's all they've had with their best players. They've now climbed up to 4th in the East standings. Butler is getting that in the MVP conversation tag. And look, the odds of Jimmy actually winning that honor, they're long. But he's certainly a great case for all of us to examine what we consider valuable in this league. Is it gaudy stats, lots of points? Well, then Jimmy is not your man. He is not a score-first player all the time. He's particularly shied away from shooting threes over the past couple seasons. But if your criteria is being directly responsible for a team winning, yeah, Miami is 10-0 in the last 10 games Jimmy has played, 18-8 in games he's played overall this season. The best ability is indeed availability. And as the rest of the league is finding out, Jimmy and the other key players are now forcefully and quite convincingly available. Fizz, you know this franchise better than most. Yeah. Do you think this recent run from Miami is a blip or a trend?
Oh, this is trending. You already know that this is the Heat we talking about. This isn't like some up and coming emerging team. Like, it was a matter of health for them. And I guarantee you one thing, everybody else may have had some panic in them. In that building, there's no panic, and they understand the day-to-day routine of building habits. No matter who's available, they're going to keep working at it. So when they do get healthy, this is what you get. And the hard part is when you're one of those teams that's like, man, we're in the Heat, we're in the run, we got a chance to make the playoffs, but the Heat are sitting back there not playing well and not healthy. You're like, dang. They're going to come roaring back, and one of us is going to be out of this deal. And that's what you're seeing right now. And so, no, I think it's trending, and it's going to keep going in this direction with good health.
You know, it boiled down to health. Jimmy Butler was out, never got a rhythm with the guys, played deep into the playoffs, had shortened off season. Then a little bit of the fat cat syndrome. They thought, okay, we went to the finals. We'd be back to the top. We can be an elite team. All these things come into play, but now you see these guys now locked in. It's the second half of the season. This is when teams who've been in the playoffs and tasted that championship bubble, this is when they key in and lock in. Now that they're locked in, they have everybody healthy, which is the biggest key. Now they're putting everybody on notice. Think about it. They beat the Jazz. Yeah. They beat the Lakers. And the West is supposed to be the team to beat. They went in there and ran the score up on these guys. So you got to watch out for the Heat. They might be trending all the way back up to being #1 team in the East.
And now there are questions about what the Heat might do before the trade deadline. Look, we know that Meyers Leonard is available. We also know that Avery Bradley is reportedly available, and they're looking for someone who can kind of replace what Jay Crowder did for them last season. Is that the biggest hole that you see, or?
appreciate them looking for someone to replace Jay Crowder, because that was the biggest key. You need a guy who's tough-nosed, who can play 2, 3, 4, 5 positions defensively. And him, the way he went out and made himself a three-point shooter for that team, because we know Jay Crowder's up and down, but in that Heat uniform, he became a consistent three-point shooter, was huge for them. So if they can find someone like Jay Crowder, then they're going to be back into championship contention.
Because you got to remember, that last year's team had multiple 6'6", 6'7" athletes like that can switch. Jones Jr., Crowder, all of those guys were running around out there. So to add another guy like that, to bring that back, that'll help them big time.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you because we have a mind meld here on ESPN as we are talking about the Heat and trade possibilities. Woj, coming in, ESPN sources,
Trevor
Oklahoma
Ariza.
City is finalizing a trade to send Trevor Ariza to the Heat for Meyers Leonard and a 2027 second-round pick. Oklahoma City will just be doing an auto draft trade, an auto draft by that time. This will require Meyers to waive his no-trade clause. He is expected to do so. So, all right, let's talk real deal here with Ariza. What does he do for them down the stretch?
Well, I'll go with it. I think if he can play anything like the Trevor Ariza that we know, he adds that dimension. 6'7", defensive player, long, can switch, and you can't leave him open. And he's around other tough guys, because he's a tough dude. Trevor grew up in the neighborhood over here. He's a tough-minded, tough dude, and I think he adds what we're talking about.
Yes.
I don't know if he's going to give you everything Jay Crowder gave you, because Jay Crowder's a younger guy who's still in that wheelhouse, but he definitely adds to that mix.
A little veteran leadership he brings to the locker room. Think about it, this guy played alongside Kobe Bryant. He's been in that position to win championships, so he knows what it takes. And what I like best about Trevor, he has an old school mentality. He's a little nasty when he goes down the court. And you need that in the playoffs, because when you need to get in the face of someone or try to get them off their game, Trevor's that guy, and you have to appreciate him.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.